Welcome to the GSMC Fitness Podcast, the show that helps you sort through all of the trends, new and old, of the fitness world. We'll talk about yoga, running, Zumba, weightlifting, and everything in between. Whether you've got your fitness routine down to a science or you're just starting out and looking for direction, you'll find educational and entertaining information on the GSMC Fitness Podcast.
Hey guys, and welcome to GSMC Fitness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Cynthia, and happy, Wednesday? I was about to say Thursday. Happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope you all are having a fabulous day, night, whatever time you are tuning in right now. To be honest, it's been a little of a rough patch for me. I mean, of course, COVID is still lingering around, and, we really see no end to this anytime soon. Of course, that's been like that all year, but my family and I, we lost a really, important family member of ours. My tia Tere, she unfortunately passed away this morning, and I feel like I'm still in shock. Like, I don't really believe that happened. A couple weeks ago, it's been hard the last couple of weeks, honestly. She unexpectedly went to a doctor visit for a normal routine checkup, and they told her right there, like, oh, you have cancer in your blood all of a sudden. And which is really strange to me because she has been going to these doctor visits this entire year because she's diabetic. And all these doctor visits, none of these doctors ever told her, like, you have cancer. So by the time they found it, which was like 10 days ago, barely, it was like far too late. It had already entered her bloodstream, and at that point, chemo is not an option because that would literally just kill you. It's in the blood, it's spreading everywhere. So we've been dealing with that, my family and I, for the last couple of weeks, and it's been hard, it's hard. We have been very blessed the last 15 or so years. We haven't dealt with anyone passing, luckily. The last person who passed away in our family was my grandpa, and I was in elementary school. I'm 25 now. So it was many, many years ago. And, I haven't dealt with a death in a very long time, so I feel like I'm in the denial stage, I think. I don't know. But I feel kind of weird. Not weird. I just don't really know how to feel right now. I feel like I'm definitely still in denial. My mind's just kind of everywhere, scattered. But I think it's also really good for me to talk about it out loud with you guys. Kind of just talk what's in my mind, my feelings right now. Not too much, though, because, of course, this is a fitness podcast, but this is what's going on with me right now, and I love to be, and I try to be my most authentic and raw self whenever I do these episodes, so I hope that you guys can appreciate that as well, and appreciate this vulnerability, this vulnerable state that I'm at right now. But regardless, I am still very excited to get through today's episode. We are going to talk about one of my all-time favorite exercises. It is for sure a staple in everyone's routine. It should be a staple in everyone's routine since it has many, many benefits. And we're going to talk all about squats and the squat pattern and the many benefits of performing the squat and the different variations there are to performing the squat. So there's a lot of things that we are going to unpack on today's episode, and I'm excited. So I hope you guys are too. The squat, as I'm sure most of us know, is a dynamic strength training exercise that requires several muscles in your upper and lower body to work together simultaneously. Many of these muscles help power you through daily tasks such as walking, climbing stairs, bending, or carrying heavy loads. They also help you perform athletic-related activities. Adding squats to your workouts can help boost your exercise performance, decrease your risk of injury, and keep you moving more easily throughout the day. But these are just a few of the benefits. So definitely stay tuned because we're going to learn more about the rewards you can reap from doing squats and variations you can try for added benefits. So let's first unpack what muscle groups do squats work. What muscle groups are targeted in this specific exercise? If there's one exercise that has the ability to challenge most of the muscles in your body, it's the squat. That's why it's a compound exercise, because it's a multi-joint movement that requires multiple joints and multiple muscle groups to work together in order to be able to move through the squat pattern efficiently and effectively. The obvious muscles targeted are in the lower body, of course. That's what we know. But in order to do this compound exercise correctly, you also need to use several muscles above your waist. So the squat isn't just a lower body exercise. The squat isn't just an exercise you do for your leg days. The squat requires the entire body to function at its best capacity, at its highest capability. So that way you're able to do the squat, with almost perfect form, as I say. So of course, the lower muscles targeted in a squat include your gluteus maximus, minimus, and medius, aka your buttocks, aka your booty, your bumpies, whatever you want to call it, your butt. Then, of course, it targets your quads, your hamstrings, your adductors, which is the groin area, hip flexors, and calves. In addition to the lower body, the squat also targets your core muscles. And these muscles include the rectus abdominis, obliques, transverse abdominis, and erector spinae. If you do a back squat or overhead squat, you'll also work the muscles in your shoulders, arms, chest, and back. This is why we need to make sure that everything is just in tip-top shape so that way you are able to do the squat in the most perfect way and pain-free way possible. So now that we know exactly what muscle groups are being targeted, which is basically everything from the shoulders down. So squats are technically a full body movement, a full body exercise. We're now going to move on to how to do and perform a basic squat. So I'm going to break it down for you guys. I'm going to give y'all some verbal cues on how to perform a squat. And this is a body weight squat, so no equipment needed. We're using literally our own weight to do the exercise, which is just one of the many great things about the squats is that you can literally do it anywhere. Known as a body weight squat or an air squat, the most basic type of squat uses just your body weight for resistance. Variations of the squat can include weights like barbells or dumbbells, resistance bands, or yoga balls. So right now, I'm going to give y'all the verbal cues, and I really hope you guys take the time to actually perform the exercise as I explain it. I'm basically like your audio fitness trainer, all right? I'm your audio fitness trainer, so listen up and get moving with these verbal cues. Unless you're driving. If you're driving, continue to drive. Do not pull over and do the squat. But if you're chilling at home right now, tuning into this episode, then do it along. To do a basic squat, you're going to want to start with your feet slightly wider than hip width apart. You're going to want to keep your chest up, engage your abdominals, and shift your weight onto your heels as you push your hips back into a sitting position. Then lower your hips until your thighs are parallel or almost parallel to the floor. You should feel the squat in your thighs and glutes. Pause with your knees over but not beyond your toes. Exhale and push back up to the starting position. So that, in a nutshell, in the most simplistic terms, is how you do this squat, a normal body weight air squat. So let's now shift on over to some of the benefits of the squats. So right here, I have a list of squat benefits. It's lengthy, but to summarize and point out the top picks, here I have 7 key benefits of why everyone should be doing squats. Everyone. Doesn't matter if you have an injury, everyone should be doing this movement. And the first reason is because it strengthens your core. Having strong core muscles can make everyday movements like turning, bending, and even standing easier. Not only that, but a strong core can improve your balance, ease pain in your low back, and also make it easier to maintain good posture. A 2018 study that compared core muscle activation during a plank with back squats found that back squats resulted in greater activation of the muscles that support your back. Based on these findings, the researchers recommended targeting the core muscles with back squats to reduce the risk of injury and to boost athletic performance. If that one benefit doesn't urge you to do a squat, then I don't know what will, because I got 6 more lined up for you guys right now. So that was the first one. The second one is that it reduces the risk of injury. When you strengthen the muscles in your lower body, you're better able to execute full body movements with correct form, balance, mobility, and posture. Plus, incorporating squats in your overall workout routine also helps strengthen your tendons, ligaments, and bones, which, according to the American Council on Exercise, may help reduce your risk of injury. And I want to kind of touch on this really quick. Not only do squats help strengthen your tendons, ligaments, and bones, but this is something amazing that happens when you start to strength train. Strength training strengthens your tendons, ligaments, and bones. And this is why I'm such a big advocate for strength training over cardio. That's not to say that cardio isn't important, but I feel like society places a really, really, really high importance on cardio over strength training. There's a lot of fads. There's a lot of myths that I honestly don't have the time to debunk right now, because that requires a whole other hour-long episode that I'm not going to dedicate right now. But maybe in the future I'll touch on it. But strength training, it just helps you stand taller, stronger, and just makes you like feel good, honestly. And again, I won't get into too many details of that right now, but yes, strength training does strengthen your tendons, ligaments, and bones. It's amazing. Reason number 3 why you should be doing squats is because it crushes calories. And what I mean by that, it's a high calorie burning exercise. Calorie burning is often equated with aerobic exercises such as running or cycling, aka cardio. But performing high-intensity compound movements like the squat can also crush some serious calories. For example, according to Harvard Medical School, a 155-pound person can burn approximately 223 calories doing 30 minutes of vigorous strength or weight training exercises like squats. So there you have it, guys. Those are the 3 main benefits, but I still have 4 more left to touch on. So don't go anywhere because we're going to discuss them right after this commercial break.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to GSMC Fitness Podcast. So right before the break, we gave y'all the basic breakdown of the squat and how to perform it. So now let's keep on talking about more amazing benefits of incorporating the squat pattern into your fitness regimen. So we already stated how it strengthens your core. It reduces the risk of injury by strengthening your tendons, ligaments, and bones. And it's a high calorie burning exercise. So for those of you who are really focused on fat loss and burning as many calories as you can, incorporating compound movements like the squats are going to help you get there. Reason number 4 why squats are an amazing exercise is because they strengthen the muscles of your lower body. Your lower body boasts some of your largest and most powerful muscles. From getting out of bed to sitting down in a chair, your glutes, quads, hamstrings, adductors, hip flexors, and calves are responsible for almost every move you make. Strength training exercises like squats can help strengthen and tone the muscles in your lower body. When these muscles are in good condition, you may find that you can move more comfortably with less pain, and that everything from walking to bending to exercising is easier to do. And this is why functional fitness is so important. Squats are part of functional fitness. And what do I mean by functional fitness? Functional fitness is basically gym exercises that you perform in the gym that mimic real life daily movement patterns that you do outside of the gym. So for instance, in the squat, think of something you guys do every single day, probably multiple times a day, that involves a squat pattern. I'll wait. Yes, using the restroom. Yes, that involves a squat pattern. And just that particular daily activity, simple task you do every day should be a great motivator for you to get into the gym and do a squat. Or do squats at home. Like I said, body weight squats can be done anywhere, anytime. So this is really important. That way you're able to move freely, pain-free in your everyday life. This is why functional fitness is imperative to do. Reason number 5. Squatting boosts athletic ability and strength. If you compete in a sport, adding jump squats to your workout may help you develop explosive strength and speed, which in turn may help improve your athletic performance. A 2016 study investigated the effects of jump squat training done 3 times a week over the course of 8 weeks. Based on the results of the study, the researchers concluded that jump squat training has the ability to improve several different athletic performances simultaneously, including sprint time and explosive strength. So for all of my athletes out there, you're definitely gonna want to include squats in your routine, okay? It's going to make you a better athlete. You're going to be able to jump higher, run faster, because the squat targets your entire posterior chain. And your posterior chain includes your calves, your hamstrings, your butt, your back, your shoulders, literally your entire backside. And if you have a weak backside, aka a weak posterior chain, you're not going to be able to perform at your most optimal self in these athletic events. So athletes, if you're tuning in, or parents of athletes, send them this message. Send them this clip of the podcast and let them know that squatting will make them better athletes, will make them jump higher, will make them run faster, be more freaking better, okay? They'll be the best. So just make them do it, okay? All right. Reason number 6 why squats should be incorporated into everyone's fitness regimen. It adds variety, and variety helps with motivation. Once you master the basic squat, there are many different types of squat variations you can try. Changing up your squats can help keep the exercise interesting while also activating different muscle groups. Squats can be done with just your body weight, and they can also be done with weights like dumbbells, barbells, kettlebells, or medicine balls, or with resistance bands or yoga balls. I mean, truly, the possibilities and the combinations are endless and listless. Reason number 7. I already mentioned this, but I'll reiterate it again. Squats can be done anywhere. And to do bodyweight squats, you don't need any equipment. All you need is your body and enough room to lower your hips into a sitting position. And if you're pressed for time, you can still benefit many muscle groups by doing 50 squats a day. Try doing 25 in the morning and 25 at night. And then as you get stronger, maybe add 25 to the afternoon. I don't know. That's just an example. But this is effective. My mom actually does this right before she gets in the shower. She says she does like a few squats, kickbacks, and that's how she maintains a perky booty, per my mom. Mom, if you're listening to this, I know I kind of put your business out there. But anyway, in a nutshell, in the most summarized terms that I can do, these are the 7 key points, the 7 main reasons, the 7 main benefits of why squats are an amazing exercise and why everyone should do it regardless of injury. So again, I'll quickly review them. Number 1, it strengthens your core. Number 2, it reduces your risk of injury if done correctly. 3, it's a high calorie burning exercise. 4, it strengthens the muscles of your lower body, which will help you perform your daily tasks much, much better. Number 5, it boosts athletic ability and strength. Number 6, variety with these exercises helps keep up with the motivation. And number 7, the squat can be done anywhere, anytime. So now that we're done reviewing the benefits of why you should do this exercise, let's review benefits of the different squat variations and what each one holds. As I mentioned already, there are multiple ways you're able to perform the squat with different gym equipment that you're able to use while doing the exercise. But for the sake of time and for the sake of just keeping this really concise, I'm going to talk about the 3 most popular variations of the squat, and that is the back squat, the overhead squat, and the jump squat. Changing up the basic bodyweight squat allows you to target different muscle groups. It also helps with motivation so you don't get bored with performing the same move repeatedly. Before moving on to squat variations, make sure you have mastered the basic squat movement. These exercises are more challenging and require more strength, flexibility, and core activation. So let's first discuss back squats, okay? What is the back squat? I'm going to talk about the back squat with the barbell because that's the most traditional way people perform this exercise. So the barbell back squat takes the traditional squat motion and adds resistance to the shoulders with the barbell, usually 35 or 45-pound barbell. It's often considered the gold standard when it comes to enhancing athletic performance, as it requires the coordinated interaction of numerous muscle groups. And if I'm being completely honest, the barbell back squat is actually my favorite variation of the squat pattern. I just feel really strong. I feel really comfortable doing it. I actually, 2 years ago, when I was still very new into my fitness journey, I was around 115 pounds around this time. And I was squatting really heavy for my size, okay? Mind you, I'm 5'2". I was 115 pounds at this time. And I don't know how I did it because I was squatting around 155, 165 for my little self, okay? I know there's people out there who can squat over 200 pounds, 300, 400, but I'm talking about me, okay? And I'm talking about my size, how I felt. I felt really strong. I was doing 15 reps at that weight. That's very high rep with what? How? Because now, fast track 2 years later, I'm 25 years old now. I'm 5'2". I weigh around 125 pounds. So I've gained about 10 pounds from that time. And I'm struggling, I'm huffing and puffing, squatting 35, okay, 35, and doing only 8. I'm working hard for those 8 reps. And 2 years ago, I was doing 155 for 15 reps. But I was way more consistent back then. And, it's the year of COVID. I feel like we've all been in and out of shape 5 to 10 times already. With gyms closing, reopening, closing again, halfway opening. It's a mess, okay? It's a whole mess. But anyway, where was I going with that? Oh, yeah. Point being, the back squat is still my favorite variation of this particular exercise. So now I'm going to break it down for you guys on exactly how to perform this particular exercise. The back squat places an emphasis on the glutes and hips while still targeting the quads. So you're first going to want to set a barbell in a squat rack just below shoulder height. You're going to want to move underneath the bar so it's resting behind your neck across the top of your back. Grip the bar with your hands, and then with your feet a little wider than shoulder width apart, step back so you can clear the rack. Lower yourself into a squat so your hips are below your knees. Pause briefly at the bottom, then press through your feet and push your hips back up to the starting position. So in, simplistic terms, that's how you perform the barbell back squat. Again, I truly think this is the gold standard when it comes to not just enhancing athletic performance, but just overall. I have all my clients train using the barbell back squat. Unless they have some limitation where they can't reach back behind their shoulders, which is actually really common, then I'll have them do a goblet squat, which is, again, another variation. I mean, truly, there are levels to this thing, okay? And like I said, I could dedicate an entire hour to just talking about squat variations, but for the sake of time and keeping this concise, I'm going to stick to those main 3. So again, that was the barbell back squat. And we're going to talk about the overhead squat and jump squat right after this commercial break.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Hey guys, welcome back to GSMC Fitness Podcast. So we're done reviewing the barbell back squat. We are now moving on to another widely popular, widely used squat variation, and that is the overhead squat. Now, this is a movement that is seen a lot in CrossFit gyms. To be honest, I know I'm going to hurt some feelings. I'm going to offend some people. I am not a fan of CrossFit. I'm sorry. I'm just not. I'm not. I've taken a couple classes and I just feel like my bones are going to break. I feel like my tendons, I feel like my ligaments are going to just snap because the movements are just like so fast, and like I don't feel like there's like a huge emphasis on proper form and technique, which I'm like very, very meticulous about. So for me personally, not a fan. But the overhead squat, it doesn't eliminate that the overhead squat is a bad exercise. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean that it's not an effective and efficient exercise. It very much is, actually. But I'm just not a personal fan of it. So I think out of all the variations, this may be my least favorite. Maybe. So for an overhead squat, you can use a dumbbell, medicine ball, or even a barbell. And the barbell I've actually tried in like the CrossFit setting. CrossFit gyms actually tend to use barbells. And this variation engages your core, especially your lower back. In addition, it works the muscles in your upper back, shoulders, and arms. So similar to the back squat, this is also a full body, total body movement. And I think this actually places a slightly more on your upper body region because you need the range of motion to have your arms above your head and to have them by your ears in a straight neutral position, which a lot of people actually don't have. A lot of people don't. Like, a lot of people don't have the range of motion to just, like, lift their arms up by their ears. Like, I want you guys to try it right now. Honestly, are you able to lift your arms up above your ears? Close to your ears, bicep to ears. I'm sure some of you can't. And that's not me trying to come at you. That's just the reality of the situation. Most people are working from home. Most people type a lot, have desk jobs. So this constant position of the shoulders hovering over the computer, that creates tightness in your chest and in your lats. So that when you lift your arms over your head, you physically can't because you're just so tight and like you need to be more mobile. And I think this is why the overhead squat is a really challenging exercise, because it demands a really high range of motion that not a lot of people have. So your range of motion will be slightly different with the squat. So you have to be very, very careful. Pay extra attention to your form for this one, okay? Because this can easily, a slight little twinge in the back and you're done. Not to scare you, but kind of like scare you a little bit, like have your form, be in check. So here are the verbal cues on how to effectively and correctly perform the overhead squat. First, stand tall with your feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart. Hold the medicine ball above your head throughout the exercise. From a standing position, bend your knees and push your hips back as you would for a regular squat. Stop when your thighs are parallel to the ground. Pause briefly with your knees over, but not beyond your toes. Push through your heels to return to the starting position, giving your glutes a squeeze at the top. Finally, we're going to be discussing the jump squat. This is one that's a love-hate relationship for me. I love it because I really get my heart rate up. Like, I feel like a badass, just like powering through, being super explosive with my movement. But I also hate this movement because the burning sensation makes me want to cry. Yes, it makes me want to cry because I'm just like pushing through and my legs start to feel like jello. I literally start to feel my muscles like tighten up because I'm just like going. But it's a great exercise. With jump squats, you don't need any equipment. This is a body weight plyometric movement, which means it's a powerful aerobic exercise that requires you to exert your muscles to their maximum potential in a short period of time. The jump squat targets the glutes, quads, hips, and hamstrings while also increasing your heart rate. Because this variation puts more stress on your joints, it's important to have healthy knees, hips, and ankles if you want to try this move. So again, here are the verbal cues for the jump squat. Stand up straight with your feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart. Squat down until your thighs are slightly higher than your knees. Propel yourself upwards so your feet lift off the ground, and then land with soft bent knees and settle back into the squat position. So again, you guys, those are the three main variations that I wanted to bring on here onto the show. Of course, there are many more like front rack squats, banded squats, and so forth. But again, barbell back squats, overhead squats, and jump squats. Now I want to share with you guys some safety tips while you're performing these exercises. So while generally a safe exercise if done with the right form, there are some safety precautions to keep in mind when doing squats. And the first, only lower yourself as far as you can comfortably go. When you begin to feel discomfort in your hips or knees, stop and use that as your endpoint. 2, make sure you have a solid base. And what I mean by this, most squat exercises require you to start with your feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart. Using a narrower stance allows you to target the outer thigh muscles, but it also decreases the stability of your base and puts extra pressure on your knees. This is why I personally like to do the sumo squat. So again, another variation. The sumo squat is basically like a wider stance where my stance is like a little more than hip width apart. And this just makes me feel a lot more grounded, a lot more stable since I'm covering more ground with the wide position. Safety tip number 3, keep your eyes forward. While it may seem natural to look down when performing a squat, you'll want to keep your gaze straight ahead. To help with this, pick a spot in front of you to focus on. This may help you keep your neck in a neutral position. Tip number 4, keep your posture upright. So avoid rounding your shoulders or back. This is really, really important. Focus on keeping your spine straight and in a neutral position. With your head neutral, not looking up or down. Then only lift what you can handle. Avoid going heavy with weight if your form can't handle it. You will benefit more from the squat if you execute it with proper form than you will if you lift too much weight. Also, lifting too much weight can strain your lower back, hips, and knees, which can lead to injuries. And I am very, very, very big on this. I always tell people, especially men, again, men, don't get offended, but some of you have some egos, okay? So I tell these men, drop the egos and drop the weight. Because it looks ridiculous when I see a man, sometimes women too, but majority men from my experience, who try to lift way more than they can handle. They're probably trying to impress a girl at the gym or something like that. They're trying to prove a point to somebody and trying to record a video for Instagram. And they end up looking ridiculous because they end up blowing their back out, or they end up like just doing the exercise completely wrong with terrible form. And like, no, don't embarrass yourself like that. Stick to a lighter weight that you can control. You're able to keep perfect technique, and you'll be better off that way. And you won't have an injury or experience any discomfort or pain afterwards. Okay? So again, let me emphasize that safety tip. Only lift what you can handle. Drop the ego. Drop the weight if you need to. Last safety tip I have for y'all here. Activate your core. Okay? You really need to activate your core, whether you're doing upper or lower body exercises. Your core needs to be fired up no matter what. But specifically for this exercise, keep your core muscles activated throughout the entire movement. Think of these muscles as your internal weight belt that holds everything in its place. And yes, I know there are actual belts that people use to weight lift, and I'm not a fan of those. And here's why. I feel like weight belts that people use during squatting, deadlifts, things like that, it's like a crutch. And I feel like it's cheating in a sense. Like people heavily rely on weight belts instead of just actively like engaging your core and firing up your core. Like, sorry, not for me. I know, I feel like I'm just like telling y'all all of my like big pet peeves, but it's like I have so many, okay? I've been in the gym consistently, I want to say now for 3 years. Yay to me. I've been a trainer for now 2 years, and there's just a lot of things that I see and that I pick up on. And again, I share it with you guys like in a lighthearted way. Don't like take things that I say super like too hard. Like if you're somebody listening right now and you use a weightlifting belt, like don't feel super offended by the things that I say, okay? I speak what's on my mind. This is all opinion based. But it's my truth, so I'm going to hold on to it, all right? So again, let me quickly just go through those safety tips again, in case some of y'all, I don't know, skipped a part, tuned out for a second. These are really important tips that you should incorporate and think about while doing your squats. So again, only lower, go as low as you can comfortably go. Make sure you have a solid base. Keep your gaze forward, and in turn, this will help keep your posture upright and in a neutral position. Only lift what you can handle, okay? And lastly, activate your core. Pull that belly button in. Think belly button to spine. I know it's kind of a weird image to picture, but it does the trick. So you guys, we're going to cut into a very very brief break. And when we come back, we're going to discuss squats and knee issues and how they're related. We'll be right back.
The GSMC Life and Happiness podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to GSMC Fitness Podcast. We are now entering the final segment of today's show, and we're going to wrap it up talking about squatting and the constant complaint I hear involving knee pain and discomfort. But here's the bottom line in general in regards to squatting in general. Developing strength and power are just a few of the many benefits of including squats in your workouts. When performed correctly, this functional exercise also boosts your calorie burn, helps prevent injuries, strengthens your core, and improves your balance and posture. To stay motivated, consider swapping out the traditional squat with different variations. Not only will this keep your workouts interesting, but you'll also be challenged with each new move. If you have a health condition or an injury, be sure to talk to your doctor or a certified personal trainer, aka me, before adding squats to your fitness routine. So again, that's kind of always like a little disclaimer for all the topics I usually discuss. But anyway, moving on to squatting and knees. Squatting is a position you may find yourself in throughout the day or during exercise. You may need to squat down to pick up toys in your home, or to lift a box, or to use the restroom. Or you may squat in your workouts or while playing sports like basketball. Whatever the case, you may feel pain in this position from time to time. Discomfort may happen under your kneecap or in other parts of the joint, depending on the cause. So right now, we're going to review how to treat and prevent knee pain while squatting and when you should see a doctor, like when it gets too serious. So I'm first going to share with you guys some home remedies that you are able to try if you are experiencing some trauma on your knee. The first is, let me just say, these home remedies is more for if you're like simply having some general pain when you squat. These may be treatable from home. If it's something more serious like arthritis, I don't know, may not help, might. It varies case by case. The first is to change your activity. Look at how you're moving throughout the day. You may need to change up your exercise or daily routine for some time while you're experiencing pain. Consider limiting or temporarily stopping activities that are causing your discomfort. If you don't want to stop all physical activity, consider switching to cross-training that isn't as tough on the joints. Low-impact options include swimming, aqua aerobics, aqua jogging, and cycling. Next, try out RICE. If you don't know what RICE is or what the acronym stands for, the RICE method involves rest, ice, compression, and elevation. Rest by stopping activities that make your knee hurt. You should also avoid everyday situations where you may need to put weight on your affected knee. Ice. By applying cold packs to your knee for 20 minutes at a time, several times throughout the day. You should never put ice directly on your skin, so cover your ice pack with a light towel or blanket. Compress. To prevent swelling, you can find elastic bandages at most drugstores. Resist the urge to wrap your knee too tightly. Light but snug tension is best. Be sure to leave a hole open over your kneecap. Elevate your knee as often as you can. You can lie down and prop your knee up on pillows so it rests higher than your heart. Heat. Rice is a good method to follow if you believe your pain may be the result of sprains or strains. But applying heat to the knee may help if your pain is related to arthritis or stiffness in your joint. Heat improves blood and oxygen flow to the area, but it can also increase swelling and inflammation. You may use a store-bought heating pad for relief or make your own using everyday items like rice in a sock or wet towels in a zip-top bag. If those methods don't work, then you can always try medication. Over-the-counter medications may help ease your pain. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs are good choices because they help with both discomfort and inflammation. You may know these medications as ibuprofen, Advil, Motrin, or Aleve. There are other over-the-counter pain relief methods available, including creams and gels, which this is more my steez. I'm not really big on like popping pills, not even Advil or Motrin, none of that. I'm definitely more into holistic health and wellness, alternative medicine. But again, that's not just me trying to knock you down if like you do use, you do prefer taking Advil or whatever. Capsaicin, for example, is an alternative for people who can't take non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. It's a compound found in hot chili peppers and can be applied as often as 3 to 4 times a day for several weeks. If that doesn't work, then consider a massage. And I know during these unprecedented times where we keep opening and reopening, it may be difficult and challenging trying to find a masseuse, a massage therapist who's still out there hustling and bustling. But depending where you live, if there's a masseuse, massage therapist available, go to that person. Massage with a licensed massage therapist can help ease tension in the muscles that surround your joints, giving you relief and helping to prevent future injury. Sports massage may be best for injuries related to sports and overuse. The technique is similar to Swedish massage, but it focuses specifically on affected muscles. Ask your doctor for recommendations for massage therapists in your area and call your insurance company before your appointment to see if you have coverage. So now that we went through some of the home remedies, more alternative ways to ease the knee pain discomfort you may be experiencing in your squatting pattern, let's talk now about the causes. Like, why is this happening? And there are several conditions and reasons that may cause knee pain while squatting. The location of pain depends on the cause. People with patellofemoral syndrome feel pain on the front of the knee near the kneecap when squatting. You may have heard this condition referred to as runner's or jumper's knee, and it's caused by overuse in sports, injury, or muscle imbalances. The patella is your kneecap, so people with this condition feel pain around the kneecap when doing things like running, jumping, kneeling, or squatting. Other possible causes include patellar tendonitis, which causes pain at the base of the kneecap and may also lead to swelling or a burning sensation in the kneecap. Osteoarthritis, which can cause swelling, knee weakness, increased pain in the morning, and snapping or popping noises as you move your knee. Injury or trauma to the knee, which may cause localized pain and swelling. IT band syndrome, which may also cause pain in your hip and upper thigh. And lastly, bacterial joint inflammation, which can also lead to swelling, redness, and a warming feeling around the joint, as well as fatigue and loss of appetite. Now let's switch gears into the diagnosis. Make an appointment with your doctor if home remedies aren't helping with your pain. You'll likely be asked about your injury and health history, including when your pain started, whether it's off and on or consistent, what activities bring the most pain, if you've recently tried any new activities, if you started training harder or longer recently, if you've changed the surfaces you're playing sports or running on. You'll also have a physical exam so your doctor can evaluate your range of motion. Swelling, grinding, or other symptoms. They may have you bend your knee, walk, or otherwise move your knee to see what positions cause the most pain. Your doctor may order an X-ray or other imaging studies to get a look underneath the skin. An X-ray can help identify more serious issues like knee fractures or show if the kneecap is misaligned. Let's talk about other treatments. So we talked home remedies. Let's talk actual treatments, okay? First, physical therapy. Physical therapy is a relatively non-invasive form of treatment for pain caused by or felt during squatting. Exercises may include moves that help to strengthen the muscles that support your knee. You may work your quads, hamstrings, and hip abductors. With patellofemoral syndrome, for example, the goal is to prevent the inward movement of the knee during a squat. Custom orthotics are another option you may explore with your doctor or a podiatrist. These devices fit into your shoes and help promote better alignment of your feet and joints. If you're concerned about your knee pain and don't already have a primary care provider, you can view doctors in your area through the Healthline Find Care tool. And lastly, in most serious cases, surgery may be your only option. Arthroscopy is a procedure where your doctor inserts a thin device with a camera, arthroscope, into your knee to look for and correct damage. Realignment is another. It's more invasive surgery that involves repositioning the kneecap or relieving pressure caused by cartilage. That does not sound too fun, does it? The amount of time it takes to recover from knee injury depends on the severity of the injury, how much rest you take, and the treatment you use. You may get better by resting and treating your pain at home, or you may need ongoing physical therapy sessions to work on muscle imbalances. And then if not, then surgery may require months of healing. So here's some preventative tips. Make sure you're squatting with proper form, okay? So again, start by standing with your back against a wall, feet about shoulder width apart. Your heels should be 18 inches away from the wall and hold your knees should be in line with your heels. From there, take a deep breath and squat as you exhale, sitting down as far as you can without dropping your bottom below your knees. And make sure to keep your knees in line with your heels. Then return to standing, tightening your core muscles, and flatten your back against the wall. Inhale as you slowly raise to your original standing position. And be sure to push from your heels and not the balls of your feet to ensure you're using the muscles in the back of your legs. So, in a nutshell, you guys, Squatting is a part of everyday life and can help reduce your risk for back pain from lifting heavy objects. Don't power through pain, okay? Your discomfort may have an underlying cause that needs medical attention. If not, your pain may respond well to home treatment. So treat yourself with care, incorporate tips for prevention into your routine, and you'll be back at your favorite activities before you know it. And you guys, that's going to conclude today's episode here at the GSMC Fitness Podcast. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's episode regarding all things about squatting, different squat variations, the many benefits of squatting, and so much more. If you did, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that stuff, because that tremendously helps the show. And I'll catch you guys here next week.
You've been listening to the GSMC Fitness Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Google Play, and any app where you listen to podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of the shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, from business news to weird news, we cover it all. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook and listen to these podcasts on YouTube. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's podcast.